Welcome to the Great Pacific Northwest, the city of Seattle, and the University of Washington. What better venue to explore some basic concepts in swimming techniques? Hello again, welcome to Seattle. I'm Mickey Wender, and today we're going to talk about some basic concepts that will help your swimming from a technique standpoint. Remember, the sport of swimming is very unique. It involves the fitness requirements of sports like biking and running, and more importantly, the technique and fine motor skills of sports like tennis and golf. We're going to focus on these videos on the techniques, the basic skills necessary to achieve a lifetime of success in your sport. The purpose of these videos is to focus on the basic techniques necessary to be successful in your sport. Remember, swimming is technique focused. Practice does definitely not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. You could practice the wrong thing all day, it's still going to be wrong. Our mission in these videos is to focus on the basic techniques and skills that will lead you to long-term success in your sport. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. The most important position in swimming is the streamline. We start teaching the streamline even with our college athletes on dry land using the mats, trying to get a nice flat back position. What we're looking for is to get the lower back and the neck as flat against the mat as we can, eliminating any daylight that you might see in those two areas. David's done a great job. He's spent a lot of time developing that core strength so he can get a nice flat back position. The next step in going to the streamline is taking his hands, extending them up top, taking one hand, putting it on top of the other, folding the thumb around the outside, making a hand sandwich, and coming into a nice long streamlined position, trying to get legs together, toes pointed, and a good flat neck. Want to lift the head up slightly so we can squeeze the arms right in the back of the head as it starts to round out. And that's a perfect streamlined position. Great job, David. Really good. Once we've perfected the streamlined position, we like to take the swimmers out of the pool and introduce the kick again on dry land. Back on the mats, Kim's going to show us that nice long streamlined position. Go ahead and stretch out. Again, notice the flat back, the good solid neck position, toe point. It's beautiful. To introduce the kick, what I'd like to have Kim do now is bring her hands down, put them under her lower body, lift your feet up 6 inches, and just slowly start to move your feet. Notice all the power in this flutter kick comes directly from the hips, trying to keep the legs relatively straight, working through about an 8 to 12 inch range of motion on that flutter kick. That's a great toe point, and that's beautiful. Go ahead and lower your feet down, and let's get back into the streamline. Really stretch it out. Make sure we're in line, and then go ahead, hands under, lift them up, and kick. Perfect. Keep them going. Smooth, steady kicks, and streamline. As we teach each of the strokes, we're going to try to develop some body awareness through the different segments of our body, staying focused on our core, our hips, our lower back, our abdominals, as the main focus of all of our teaching. As we progress outward, we'll incorporate the kick and then the arm stroke, and finally put all the pieces together into a logical framework and system for each of the 4 competitive strokes. Remember, body awareness, starting with the hip, balance forward and back, and side to side are going to be the key concepts that we build upon for each of the 4 strokes. Once we have the streamline perfected on dry land, the next step is to take it into the water. As you can see here, Kim and David are working on a very basic balance drill. It's called board balance. This drill was originated by the great coach Bill Boomer, and we do quite a bit of board balance. In fact, I've heard these boards referred to as boomer boards before. Great Swimming Mind has developed this drill that we use a lot in our training. We start in what we'd call the X position with arms and legs spread. It's the most stable position that you can get into, fairly easy to get yourself comfortable and flat. David is working with Kim, and he's going to start at the lower back and make sure that we get a nice flat lower back. He's kind of giving her some cues or clues about where she needs to manipulate her spine in order to get that nice flat back position. Once we get the lower back down, he'll go up to the neck and get a good flat back. Notice when Kim does this drill, she's breathing to the side. It's a critical part of this to make sure we stay in line, you stay connected the entire time you're doing this drill. This is a great one to fit in to warm up in between sets or in warm down. It's a great reminder of that body position we need to swim fast. Once we've got the X position down, we'll work the legs together to create kind of a Y body position. Kim's real balanced, so she brought them together relatively quickly. But again, we want the legs together, toes pointed, and David now in the Y position is going to make sure that she's exactly lined up in where she needs to be. Notice she just lifted the head slightly. David could help her with that depression there mid-neck. Perfect. He saw that spot. Beautiful Y position. Now we'll come into what we'd call an I or a pencil position, or better known as the streamline. Hand on top of hand, folds the thumb around the outside. Did you see her get longer? Her body got stretched out. Now she's a little bit less stable here in this streamline, which makes the core body strength that much more important. She's got to be balanced and strong through her core, abdominals, and spinal muscles. It's a great position, and David's going to work with her and just make sure that she stays in line. And again, breathing to the side, we feel like is an important part of keeping this drill together. Flattening the shoulders. That is beautiful work on board balance. Something we think you ought to be doing almost every day in your swim training. From the board balance position, we're going to go into just some simple push-off, streamline, and glide for distance exercises. When we push off in freestyle, we want the swimmer to be on their side. They need to push off in the streamlined position. And on this particular drill, we're just wanting to see how far we can go with the push off, streamline, and glide. Go ahead, Kim. Notice a good, strong push. Look at that flat back, high neck. That's beautiful body position. Great job, Kim. She's coming up on 15 yards here. Beautiful job. David, same thing. And just streamline glide. Good, clean push. Notice the high neck, the flat back. Beautiful job, David. Underwater travel in swimming is a key component of every race. We spend a lot of time working on body position and streamline ability coming off the walls. Another drill we do, kind of a progression from the streamline glide for distance, is what we call a balance up. On this drill, we want the whole body to surface as one unit. Let's watch David here again. Push off, streamline, glide for distance. We're going to watch his body surface at about the 15-meter mark. Go ahead. Good clean push. He's lined up. His body's connected. And again, the goal is to surface as one unit. Not bad. Good job, Dave. Let's watch Kim do the same thing. Good, strong push-off glide. She's rotated to her front. Now staying connected and surfacing as one unit. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Great job, Kim. As we mentioned, balance in swimming is everything. Balance, staying connected, and being able to streamline. Another drill we do, or another version of the balance up to create awareness and body control, is called the side balance up. David right now is going to push off the wall, maintain a good long body position on his side, and surface on his side as one unit. Go ahead, Dave. Forces you to stay connected and in line. And we like to drop that top arm down, kind of simulating the breakout stroke for freestyle. Kim's going to demonstrate the same thing now. Good long body position. That is beautiful. Good top arm stroke, and surfaces as one unit. Great job, Kim. As we introduce each basic stroke, we're going to start by developing a performance platform, or a streamlined and stable body position from which you can work all of the basic concepts into the stroke. We're going to start by trying to stabilize our lower back and our neck and create the most long, streamlined body that we possibly can. Then we'll add rotation, kick, and the arm stroke into each stroke, starting with freestyle, working to backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly, and building one skill on top of the other. We're going to work progressively through each of the 4 strokes. It's very important that we perfect one skill before we move on to the next. Once we've taught streamline and underwater travel, we incorporate the freestyle flutter kick. You already saw us practice it on dry land, trying to keep the motion very simple, power coming from the hips, a good solid toe point. We have our swimmers now demonstrating flutter kick just in the water. Stationary position, we call this a bracket drill. To do this drill correctly, as you can see, you take one hand, put it on the gutter, take your other hand, extend it down about a foot below the surface, fingers pointed towards the bottom of the pool, and support yourself in position. It's a great way also for the coach to watch and critique as they go. Kim, let's make that kick a little bigger, a little more amplitude. Beautiful. Notice the heels break the surface, but the rest of the foot stays submerged. We want to keep the kick underwater. It's very hard to swim in the air. We want to use the water to the best of our ability. Heels break the surface, but for the most part, you want to keep your feet down. Feet centered with your hips, and again, body position and staying in a good line is critical on this. Notice the swimmers are keeping their necks in position and breathing to the side. Again, staying streamlined at all costs. Once we've got the flutter kick the way we want it on the wall, we'll introduce some vertical kicking, having our swimmers in place vertically with their toes pointed towards the bottom, their heads up, nice and straight, and working through a vertical kicking pattern. Be careful to make sure the hips don't drop. Probably coaches want to be reminding your swimmers to press their hips forward and keep their bodies up in a nice vertical line. Once we've got the swimmers kicking correctly on the wall, we've taken that into a vertical position and we're sure they can maintain a streamline. Then we start working on some different body positions coming off the wall. The first one, Kim's just going to show underwater streamline kick. She's going to push off, underwater, streamline, and kick at 25 in a nice, long, streamlined body position. Go ahead, Kim. Notice the flat back, good, steady, quiet head position. That's beautiful. Trying to maintain her depth. Finishes to the wall on her side. Good job, Kim. Vertical kicking is a great way to teach a lot of aspects of both the freestyle and the backstroke. Kicking vertically here, you can see our swimmers have perfected or have gotten great streamlined positions together. We've worked on the flutter kick, and now we want to introduce rotation. It's the core of swimming. Being able to rotate your body, to manipulate your hips and your core body through a range of motion is critical. You can see our swimmers now starting to just slowly get their hips involved in a little bit of rotation. You can see Kim pointing that hip towards the opposite wall. The head and shoulders are staying relatively still, and the hips are rotating around a central axis. Freestyle and backstroke are very similar. In fact, we teach those strokes first and we work on them together because they're both what we would call long axis swimming strokes. In other words, your body is rotating around a central axis of rotation, a long axis that would run from the top of your head straight through the core of your body, out, down, through your torso. And the whole body rotates around a center axis of rotation. Long axis swimming, backstroke and freestyle, we're working on the rotation here in the water. Great job, guys. David's going to push off the wall in a streamlined position, rotate over to his right side, keep the bottom arm extended and the top arm at his side, and stay locked into that side kick position on his right side. Go ahead, David. Good push-off streamline. He rotates over, slides the top arm down, the bottom arm's extended, and he stays locked into that position. If he takes a breath, he does it quickly, and then he puts his head right back down in line. David doesn't even want to breathe on this. Kim's demonstrating the same thing David just showed, maintaining a great body position, kicking on her left side. Go ahead, Kim. Again, bottom arms extended, top arms at her side, keeping it nice and long. And when she breathes, she gets her head right back down in position. That's a critical part of this. Your head's the densest, biggest part of your body. Where your head goes, your body's going to follow. It's like the locomotive on a train. If your body's moving all over the place, if your head's bouncing all over the place, that's what your body's going to do, and you're not going to have a very efficient stroke. Fastest stroke in swimming is freestyle. The second fastest stroke in swimming is underwater dolphin kick. If you can develop a good underwater dolphin kick, that is a weapon that will help you immensely in your backstroke races. And freestyle, actually. In fact, they've made rules about how far you can push off and kick underwater because how effective it is in racing. Underwater dolphin kick is something that most of our backstrokers use, and it will help you go faster. David's going to demonstrate now the push-off, streamline, glide for distance in backstroke, and he'll demonstrate a good long streamline. Let's watch David now. Pushes off and glides till he slows to about swimming speed, then maintains the good body position, and he's just working on kicking the entire way. Didn't mind the 15-meter mark, but that's okay. That's a drill that'll help him get home the final 25 in a 200. Kim's going to push off, streamline glide, show the same drill David just did, except in a side kicking position. Go ahead, Kim. Kim will typically take 3 dolphin kicks off the wall and then rotate onto her side. Notice her eyes looking straight up at the ceiling, her shoulders pointing straight up in the air. That's a beautiful side kicking position for backstroke. Perfect form right there. Great job, Kim. Rotation drill for freestyle is a very simple kicking drill where we're manipulating the body from side to side as we go through the length. Taking about 6 kicks on each side, Kim's going to push off, streamline, drop her arms down to her side, and demonstrate rotation drill. She pushes off, rotates right into that first pull. Notice when Kim breathes, she takes a breath, gets her head right back down into position. It doesn't stay at her side. It stays locked in with her eyes pointed down to the bottom of the pool. Beautiful job. That's rotation drill. That's something that we do almost every day and warm up for all of our backstrokers and freestylers. Powerful drill. Let's watch Kim now come off the wall in freestyle and just make the rotation a little bit quicker, less of a pause. Just push off, streamline, glide. Locked into her side, working on that good rotation. Notice the head position. Next dropped a little bit, which might be forcing her to over-rotate slightly. Otherwise, that body's lined up. She's all connected. That's a good-looking freestyle drill. A drill we use to manipulate some hip rotation is what we call the puppet or marionette drill. We just take a basic dry land stretch cord. We'll have Kim wrap it around her waist, bring the handles back, and we'll take her over to the ladder and go ahead and slip in. Hold on to the handles and bring the cord down to about waist height or right around your belly button. And now Kim's going to swim relatively close to the wall, and we're going to just very gently manipulate the rotation so that it happens in the right place. It's a great way to teach your swimmers who can't really feel where the rotation is supposed to happen. Okay, Kim, you ready? Go ahead. You can see it's a great way to help her figure out how to stay on her side. Keeps it nice and long, smooth, and stretched out. The skills, the drills, the techniques that we'll work on in these videos are a synthesis of a lot of different ideas and concepts drawn from a lot of different coaches over a lot of different years. Please understand that it represents a logical progression of skills and drills that will lead you to your desired outcome, which is great swimming technique at the end. Do all these ideas belong directly to Mickey Wender? No, of course not. Most of them were taken from different coaches and ideas and things that make sense to provide, again, a logical framework that will lead to success in the swimming pool. Once we've got the streamline, the kick, the body position where we want it, and we've developed the rotation to the point that David and Kim have demonstrated, we're ready to add the arms. For the arm strokes, we want to keep it relatively simple. We want to make sure that we keep our elbow up higher than our hand through the entire recovery, the out-of-water portion of the recovery, as well as the pull underneath our body. Want to keep the stroke nice and long, stretched out, and we'll start with just a single arm drill. Right arm strokes only with your left arm extended out in front, taking nice long strokes, breathing to the right side. Go ahead, Kim. In this particular drill, you'll use your outside arm, your left arm here, as an anchor and work on rotating your hips as your arm pulls through, rotating off the stroke. Notice that great hip action. Beautiful rotation, and most importantly, the good steady head position. Come on back, Kim, with the left arm. Great job. Same drill, left arm only. Come on back. Notice we keep the elbow nice and high. The hand enters the water between her shoulder and her nose, drops down. That first part of the pull is called the catch. The hand sweeps under the body and finishes out by her hips, kind of rounding the stroke off at the end rather than pressing straight back. We want to lift the hand and get a nice, smooth, fluid stroke. Let's watch David now do single arm drill for freestyle with the opposite hand drop down at his side. This requires a little bit more core strength, a little more balance, and will show a lot better rotation. Go ahead, David. This drill's a bit more advanced, but we feel like much more practical for teaching freestyle. Again, notice the hips. And on this drill, the opposite hand, the non-stroking arm, is down at the side, and he's breathing to the opposite side of the stroking arm. Let's watch him coming back. Left arm strokes. He'll breathe this time to his right. Notice he keeps it nice and long, high elbow, and great hip rotation. Head's not moving anywhere, he's staying in position. Beautiful job. As soon as we have the stroke as long and smooth as we want it, we'll work on some combination drills. This one, single arm drill freestyle, 3x3. Basically 3 strokes with the right arm, then 3 strokes with the left arm. Go ahead, Kim. Unlimited variations for single arm drills. 2. Now notice the rotation as she goes through the full stroke. That was seamless. Beautiful job, Kim. And 3 strokes with the right arm. Beautiful. Beautiful. One of the combination drills we use in freestyle is very simple. It's called catch-up drill. Basically, you want to catch up out in front on each stroke. So if both arms are extended out in front, it's a complete pull, rotate, catch up before you start the next pull cycle. David's going to demonstrate that. It allows for great distance per stroke, and make sure you get the proper rotation in between each pull pattern. Go ahead. Beautiful. Great job, David. The tried and true catch-up freestyle drill, David recovers out in front and pauses long enough for the opposite hand to complete the pull cycle. It's a great way to pull it all together, make sure we're getting proper rotation, and maintaining a good distance per stroke. Catch-up freestyle, real popular, powerful drill. Another drill we use, a coordination drill, is just called simply fingertip drag. On this one, as your hand's recovering, as your hand's coming from the back of the stroke, basically you finish the stroke, your hand's in this position, you take your hand out of your back pocket, nice high elbow, and for this drill, just dragging the fingertips across the surface as you complete the extension of the stroke. Fingertip drag. Hand should kind of look like a puppet, like a marionette doll is holding it up by strings above the surface. Hand stays nice and relaxed, and again, elbow is always higher than the hand in the freestyle pull. Beautiful. David's going to combine those last two drills we worked on. This is the fingertip drag combined with the catch-up drill. Let's watch this one. Go ahead, David. Beautiful. Keeps it all together. Legs have to work a little harder to make sure you don't sink, but it's a great drill to put all the pieces together. Beautiful. Something to think about. When you're swimming, there's an optimum hand position that you can have. It's not totally closed. It's not going to be with your fingers spread. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. One thing you can do to figure out the best hand position for you to use when you're swimming is ask your parents if it's okay, but when you're driving in the car, stick your hand out the window. Make sure it's safe, make sure you've asked permission, and figure out what hand position gives you the most resistance when you put your hand out there. And I guarantee it's not like this, it's not like this, but you will have an optimal hand position with your fingers slightly spread that'll show you the best hand position for you to use in freestyle or backstroke. Once we're sure that the swimmer has all the details put together and is very clear in their mind, at least, of what they should be doing, we'll try to introduce some different variations and help them to feel, especially feel their core, but to feel the best stroke for them. One drill we do is called closed fist swimming. There's a lot of different products available to help simulate this position. When you take your hands away, forces you to focus on the core. Let's watch Kim do some closed fist freestyle. Watch the hips on this. She gets great rotation when she does closed fist. Beautiful. Again, you take away those hands and it forces you to work on the core. A progression from the closed fist would just be a two-finger drill. You can modify this however you want. We'll go with the thumb and little finger on this one. Kind of reminds us of our trip to the islands this past season. Let's watch Kim push off streamline and go with the hang loose stroke. A little bit more of her hand back on this one. Starting to feel it a little bit more. Great job. The variations on this are endless, but we'll do one last one. We'll do the Vulcan grip, the Mr. Spock hand position. Go ahead, Kim. Really makes you appreciate having a full palm and being able to swim the stroke correctly. Well, that's a good job for Kim. The last drill we're going to demonstrate, showing the full stroke, is something we call mini-max swimming. Basically, on this set, we're going to count our strokes, get our time off the clock, add those two numbers together, and come up with what we call our mini-max number. So it's the number of strokes plus your time in seconds, creating a mini-max number. So basically what you're doing is taking fewer strokes, or going faster, or a combination of the two to make this number lower, which is basically our sport in a nutshell. Going faster with less effort. Kim now will be demonstrating Mini-Max 50s freestyle. It's a very, very simple drill, and we'll just work through it as we go. Go ahead, Kim. Ready to start number one. I start my watch, so I'm getting her time. And I'm counting just left arm strokes. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes. 5, if I want to get fancy, I'll get her split. 15-9 was her split. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half strokes. The time was 32.7. Coach Dykstra is going to put the number up on the board just for demonstration purposes. 10 and a half. And 32.7. We'll give Kim a mini-max number of 42 or 43.2. Now, some people will count both arms. Some people will just count one arm. For simplicity's sake, we just counted one arm on that drill. Kim, I know, is in the habit of counting both. So for these last two, we'll count both so she has a meaningful number to work off of. And that's important for all of you. You need to keep these consistent. Kim went 148.6 in the 200-yard freestyle. That day in warm-up, she was 48.6 in her mini-max. That was a lifetime best and a really big deal. Got her feeling good about going up and racing the 200. We happen to think there's a correlation between your mini-max number and your ability to get up and compete. Go ahead, Kim. Again, she's counting strokes. This number will be a little different. 3, 4. Notice how nice and long it is. She's got her elbow up. No splash. Remember, swimmers, splash is slow. We're trying to keep this as smooth as we can. Nice and long, great rotation. That was 17 strokes, little bit faster time, 32.0, which is going to give her somewhere in 49 range. That is outstanding. That is really good early season mini-max score for Kim. We'll do the last one. Let's see if she can drop it. Obviously, the name of the game in swimming is improvement. That's what we're looking for here. Whenever you're ready. Obviously, she goes to the legs and uses a little bit more with the legs. Legs being the largest muscle in your body require quite a bit of energy to power them. In other words, it'd be hard to swim a mile with a great kick. Beautiful. 30.1 was the time. Same strokes, but she got faster. 30.1 and 17, 47.1. That's outstanding work. Way to go, Kim. Great job. Thanks for taking the time to progress through the drills and build a perfect stroke for yourself. Remember, swimming's a technique sport. We need to stay focused on the basic concepts, stay connected, stay in our core, and build proper strokes from the inside out. But remember, swimming is a lifestyle sport. All the training in the world can never make up for a poor lifestyle. We've got to make sure we get enough sleep, we have proper nutrition, we're staying hydrated, and we're doing the little things away from the pool that will lead to big success later on in your swimming career. Remember, swimming is a lifetime sport. All the training in the world can never make up for a poor lifestyle. Live the life of a champion. How we doing, team? Great, Coach! Hey, we're going to talk about some basic swimming principles today as we introduce the first 2 strokes. We're going to talk about just some general things that will apply to all of your swimming. Swimming's a unique sport. Swimming requires not only the fitness of track or running or biking and that ability to be fit and to perform your sport, it also involves a lot of skill. And the techniques involved in swimming are critical. We're going to spend some time this morning talking about some of the basic techniques, some of the basic skills that you're going to need to perfect in order to be efficient swimmers. Remember last night we were talking about nutrition, and we were talking about the choices that you make in fueling your machine, fueling your high-octane output swimming machine. We talked about nutrition and how to make those good choices. I'm going to tell you today that your choices that you make in the water are going to determine to a large degree your ability to get from there to there in the shortest possible time. That we have to manage our swimming environment and manage the decisions that we make in the water so that we're as efficient as we can possibly be. Swimming is a technique sport. You've got to be fit. There's no question about it. We've got to get that motor finely tuned and as strong and efficient as it can be. But swimming is a technique sport. It's a lot like golf or tennis or hitting a baseball. You've got to put those little techniques together so you can be as efficient as possible. One part of swimming that we're going to talk a lot about, especially today, is how to balance your body in the water. Is to how to get streamlined, and we talked about that last night, and get balanced so that you can be as effortless, as efficient as you can possibly be. And we're going to talk about two main areas of your body. We talked about them last night. In order to be streamlined and balanced in the water, we've got to get our body as long, as cylindrical, as efficient, as streamlined as it can be. And the two main areas, the two problem areas in swimming are where? Who knows? Yeah. The streamline is the most important part. But the areas where people mess up their streamline, what two parts of your body are you going to have to just stay tuned into all the time? Your head and your hips. We're going to talk a lot about how to stay balanced and how to manage your head, which can be just bobbling around. Remember, I had my little 1-year-old daughter yesterday, and we did the bobblehead with her, and she just kind of bobbled her head. That's not very efficient. And if we have wobbly hips that sway from side to side, that's going to slow you down. So we need to be as streamlined as we can be. We're going to talk about some ways to get balanced and streamlined in the water. Okay? The most important part of your body in swimming is your hips. And we can equate it to a lot of different sports. How many people have watched, we're in Seattle, so Ichiro, the great Japanese Seattle Mariner hitter, in fact, leads the league in hitting for the second straight year. When Ichiro stands in that batter's box and he goes to hit a baseball, and he's in this position here, what's the first part of his body that moves? Hips. If Freddie Garcia is on the mound and he's going to pitch, and he's going to pitch a baseball, what's the first part of his body that initiates the movement? Hips. If Venus Williams is going to return serve on Serena and win Wimbledon like she did 2 days ago, if she's going to hit those 108-mile-an-hour serves or return a 112-mile-an-hour serve, what part of her body does she need to harness the power of in order to be as efficient as possible? Hips. You kind of getting it? That our hips are going to determine the power in the stroke. So we need to do two things. We need to be streamlined, and we need to be tuned into our hips. And all the strokes, all 4 of the strokes, are going to have the same basic teaching progression, where we start by trying to get you streamlined, then we add some locomotion with your legs, we'll introduce the kick, then we'll introduce some rotation, either long axis, we'll talk about that in a second, or short axis, and then we'll put it all together with the arms. But we want you to focus on your streamlined position and your core body, your hips. That's going to be our main focus. In fact, very rarely through these lessons are you going to hear a lot of talk about arms and legs. We're going to use the arms and legs to help create a performance platform for you to get power out of your hips. We're going to watch our swimmers do some different things with that, okay? Why? Who can tell me, why do we teach backstroke and freestyle on the same day? They're the same thing but opposite. That's very good. Freestyle and backstroke, same basic mechanics, but freestyle happens with your face down. Backstroke, supine, you're on your back. Zach. Same exact kick for the most part. Absolutely. And the same kind of rhythm. Same type of motion. Yeah. What does that mean? Did everyone hear what he said? They're both long axis strokes. Go ahead. Explain to us. So your body's stretched out as long as it can be. Maybe we talk about an imaginary axis running straight down through my head, through my body, out the bottom of my feet, and everything rotates around that long axis of rotation. You get it? Long axis, as opposed to short axis, which would be which strokes? Breaststroke and butterfly. And everything in breaststroke and butterfly rotates around a short axis of rotation right at your hips. And it all happens right in here. Is that starting to make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Let's watch our swimmers now, and they're just going to get in and demonstrate just some long, easy freestyle swimming so we can get a picture of it in our minds of what we're building towards. Let's watch Desiree Johnson. Des, we talked about, as our school record holder in the 100-yard backstroke. She's a very accomplished backstroke butterflyer and freestyler. She split 23-2 on our 200 free relay for a 50. Notice how effortless it looks. Long, stretched out, even. Keeps her head in position. She keeps her lower back up nice and high, and it just rotates in long, smooth, stretched out freestyle. Let's watch April. Little bit different technique. April's also nice and long. Notice the head position, the good high neck, the hip rotation. Just watch that and get a picture in your mind of what we should be seeing in your stroke. And let's watch Kevin hop in there and do the same thing. Nice, long, smooth, stretched out freestyle. Let me introduce that concept right now. Underwater dolphin kick is fast. In fact, I'd say there's 5 strokes in swimming. There's freestyle, butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and underwater dolphin kick. Your underwater dolphin kick is probably the second fastest thing out there, second to freestyle. If you can develop it and become good at it, you'll get a scholarship to swim in college. It's that good. It's that effective. It requires some great core strength, some great coordination through your hips. It requires some good breath control and some courage to stay underwater longer than most people would choose to do that. And it'll take you about 2 years to develop fully. Back crawl, very similar to freestyle, as it's a long axis stroke. Like we talked about on freestyle, backstroke rotates around a long axis of rotation. Very similar mechanically to the freestyle. So a lot of the drills we do will be very similar to the ones you saw in freestyle yesterday. An interesting observation about backstroke. I've been going to the national championships for a long time. And I'll tell you, of the 4 competitive strokes, backstroke is the one where elite performers look the most similar. In other words, you go to the nationals, and there are certain things that backstrokers do that they all have in common. You'll notice a nice steady head position. You'll notice a beautiful, relaxed, straight arm recovery. You'll notice incredible flexibility and rotation around that axis as their shoulders and hips stay connected and rotate through the stroke. And you'll also notice an incredible kick. A lot of elite backstrokers, especially short course swimmers now, use the underwater dolphin as a way to speed up and enhance their race. It is a weapon, the underwater dolphin kick. Takes a couple years to develop, but there's no question it will help you go faster. Congratulations on accepting the challenges of competitive swimming, the greatest sport on planet Earth. Remember, success in swimming has nothing to do with what you do compared to what somebody else does. Success in swimming, success in life, is about being the best that you can be. It's about challenging your limits, testing your potential, being the best that you can be. Congratulations on accepting the challenges of competitive swimming. And thanks for playing with us here at the University of Washington. Have a great day.